How is everyone doing? We've got something special today. I say special, it's kind of exciting, but we'll see. We will see. So, massive shout out to GW for sending us over. I didn't even know this was a thing. So, of course, shout out to GW for sending us these. I've got loads of stuff that I want to do today, so there's probably going to be several live streams. And yeah, got loads ongoing because I've got some new Marvel miniatures to build, so we're going to have a look at them. I want to play some more Pokemon, so we're going to have a game of Pokemon a bit later on, and then the England match is on. I really don't care about that, so yeah. I'm thinking Mitch is going to be joining me in a second. I'm going to actually try and ring him anyway. If he answers. Don't think he's going to answer. He hasn't replied. Anyway, we're going to keep that open. Where's my chat window gone? Everything's breaking! I don't know where my chat box has gone. That's really annoying. So I'm going to have to jump between chats, guys. I'm really sorry about this. View. Docs. Chat. Ah, there we go. Got chat back. Way. So, Crusade, who played... I think the vast majority of people don't play Crusade. What baffles me, though, is that this actually looks nice, right? And I've just noticed my focus is slightly off on this camera. What baffles me, right? Oh, that's different. Okay. Okay, it doesn't let me change the focus. Oh, okay. So, what baffles me, right, is that this is ring bound, right? What? Why is it doing that? There we go. Autofocus was turned on for some reason. There we go. Sorry guys, I've switched to OBS and it's not the best till I get used to it. So what baffles me, right, is this is ring bound, whereas chapter approved wasn't, which is odd. Because chapter approved was really annoying when I tried to use it. Either way, this, like I said, I didn't realise this was even a thing. It looks as though it's Crusade rules for sisters, I'm guessing. Forge World Metallica, maybe. Yeah. I'll be honest, guys, right? Crusade is way too complicated for me. And I mean, you don't even get that many rules. Look, you only get a few pages of rules, right? And then all of this is missions. We're there, down to... Literally, that is all missions, right? Fine, cool. You know, pretty cool missions and stuff. And then you've got the core rules at the back, which is like a third of the book. I don't feel like you get much for it, and that's what I'll be doing with it. I'm not a fan of them books. I don't like them. I don't, unless you are heavily into Crusade, I don't think that book is worth it at all. This one, however, might be, if I actually had a sharp enough knife to cut through plastic. So this came yesterday, guys, which is why I didn't get a chance to get it reviewed. Obviously, Previous stuff has been very, very difficult to get hold of. Always turning up late now. I don't know what is going on with GW, but it's... I'm not going to bust my balls to get something out for pre-order day when I can't even get it on time. Either way, this looks like it's more AdMech stuff, and I believe Bellacor's rules are in here as well. I know a whole host of people are very much into the lore and stuff. I've got no idea what Bellacor's doing. I really, really struggle to read and take in lore. I would do better by listening instead. Oh, wait there. What's this? Allies of Convenience. Note that the above are guidelines on how to organise players or into an alliance. Okay, so it's if you're playing the full campaign. Warzone assets and points. Oh, it's the whole campaign rules. That's why. Nice. So it's a whole host of extra rules that you can use for playing your campaigns. That's pretty cool. Heroic achievements for the campaign. Again, because of the nature of what I do with the channel and stuff, like that's not something that interests me to that extent. Because I'm playing irregular people and I can't always forecast my games and things like that. As much as I try to, trying to get the same person available all the time when we've all got other jobs and stuff, it's not easy. So introduction, we've got Army of Renown, Skitarii Veteran Cohort, Codex Supplement, Order of the Martyred Lady, Armies of Renown, Disciples of Be'lakor. That's what I'm kind of excited about. Now, you guys know I love me AdMech. So Skitarii Veteran Cohort, what does this do? Also, yes, I need to move that camera to there, really. So we've got restrictions. Is an Army of Renown. What exactly is an Army of Renown? An Army of Renown is a specialised force that has earned fame or infamy across the 41st millennium. An Army of Renown is a variant army list for a particular faction that is themed around a particular disposition of forces. Each imposes certain restrictions on what units can be included. If you wish for your army to become an Army of Renown, it must first adhere to all the restrictions laid out in the Army of Renown. So basically, it's a thematic army, I think is what it's trying to say. Okay. So all units in your army must be Skitarii. Okay. With the following exceptions, your army can include one Tech Priest Dominus model. Your army can include one Tech Priest Manipulus model, and your army can include one Tech Priest Enginseer model, and your army can include one Techno-Archaeologist model. Note this means your army can include one of each of these models. All units in your army must be drawn from the same Forge World. Each detachment in your army must include at least one Skitarii Marshal model, and your Warlord must be the Skitarii Marshal. That's fine. That's fine. Benefits. All Skitarii units in your army gain the Skitarii Veteran Cohort keyword. You have access to the Skitarii Veteran Cohort Warlord trait, relic, and stratagems, and all of the Skitarii ranges in your army must be upgraded to Skitarii Ranger Veteran units, and all Skitarii Vanguard units in your army must be upgraded to Veteran units. Nice. Cohort Veterans. Each time you upgrade a Skitarii Ranger or Vanguard unit, its power rating is increased. Points value, so forth. Skitarii Ranger Veterans. Skitarii Ranger Veteran units gain the Veterans keyword. Veteran Skitarii add 1 to the leadership and attack characteristic of models in the unit. Okay. Enhanced Bionics. Models in the this unit have a 5+ invulnerable save. That's helpful. Stealth optimization. Each time a ranged attack is made against this unit, the unit receives the benefit of light cover. So you've got permanent Shroud's Arm on. That's really good, man. Right, so that's for Rangers. That's okay. Skitarii Vanguard veterans, add 1 to the leadership and attack, 5+ save. Each time an advanced roll is made for this unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard 1 of the dice. Each time this unit is targeted by a weapon with the blast rule, this unit never counts as containing a 6 or... Wow! That's good when you've got a unit of 20 Vanguard. That's actually quite good. So, I like that. I may have to actually try this out. So, let's have a look. 2 points per model, that's alright. So the Warlord trait, calculate without diversion. When this Warlord is on the battlefield, once per battle, if the Protector Imperative is active for your army, if you use the binaric offensive stratagem, see below, until the end of the phase that stratagem costs 1 fewer CP to a minimum of 0. Okay. Once per battle, if the Conqueror Imperative is active for your army, if you use the aggressive override stratagem. So basically, your Warlord trait is the 4 stratagems cost 1 point less depending on which. Hey Mitch, Black Velvet, greetings from South Wales, Yaki Da. So you're in another stream being. Alright, no worries. Do you want to jump in? Just give us a call on Discord if you want, mate. Oh, you have. 2 seconds, I'll ring you back. Hopefully it'll work. Hello? You what? Alright, your voice is very crackly, Mitch.
Really?
Or it was. 2 seconds. Loving the improv work that we're doing here to set the stream up as I'm in the middle of doing it. So, I don't know if you caught the first page that I was doing. Jonah Dyer, Alex, how are you doing, man? So I'm just reading the Skitarii Veteran Cohort rules, Mitch, from the new Warzone Charadron book.
Well, I've not even got the codex yet.
Yeah. So basically, every unit in your army has to be Skitarii, but you can take a Tech Priest, a Manipulus, an Engine Seer, or an Archaeologist. You can take one of each, but your Warlord has to be the new Marshal.
It's a way of making you buy the model, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But every unit of Rangers and Vanguard have to be Veteran Rangers and Veteran Vanguard.
Okay.
And it's an extra 2 points a model, right? But get this. So Vanguard Rangers get +1 leadership and attack. They get a 5+ invulnerable save instead of a 6+.
Yeah.
And they always gain the benefit of light cover. So they've permanently got Shroud's Arm on.
Oh, yeah. So that basically gives them power armor save for the most part.
Yep.
With an invuln, or with a better invuln.
With a better invuln, and the attack is superficial, but the leadership kind of helps because they've got an extra leadership, and then of course if you've got a data tether nearby, you've got a little bit more as well.
That durability though makes them, considering how cheap they are anyway.
But for 2 points a model, that's not bad.
Yeah, and they're pretty cheap anyway, aren't they? So
exactly. But then the Skitarii Vanguard veterans +1 leadership.
Now we're talking my language.
Oh, God, I haven't released the battle report yet, but about 2 weeks ago I filmed a game with Ian, and I'm going to have to put a disclaimer up when I release it because I used a stratagem which is since we recorded that being FAQ'd. But the Skitarii Vanguard veterans, when Ian realised what the Vanguard were capable of doing with the enriched rounds, it was like, yeah, they need to die. So, +1 leadership attack, you know, the fact that they give a bubble of -1 strength and toughness, you know, the extra attacks, you don't want them in combat, but at least they're probably going to do a little bit more than what they would have now.
Yeah.
But they also get a 5-up in Vun. And they roll 2 dice when advancing and discard the lowest. Which, considering all them radium carbines are assault weapons, that ain't bad.
Well, again, if you run Metallica, don't they ignore the penalty for advancing and firing as well?
I don't know, because I play Mars.
That used to be their thing. Used to be able to advance and ignore the penalty.
Right. Well, in that case, that's even better for them.
That may have changed, but that's partly why I run Metallica and I run House Raven for my knights, because that does the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonah Dye says he's on vacation painting Admech. Can't complain. Nice one. So, the Warlord trait for this Army of Renown, Mitch. You know how you've got 4 doctrines or doctrine imperatives? Depending which one is active, you can use one of the 4 CPs below, which I haven't covered yet, to reduce the CP cost by 1. And bearing in mind, some of them are 3. So you're reducing them by 1. One of them is 1 CP, and it does say you can reduce it to 0 CP. So, for example, if the Protector Imperative is active, I think that is the +1 ballistic skill, then you can use the Binaric Offensive Stratagem for 1 fewer CP. So this costs 3 normally, but drops to 2. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase. Select 1 enemy unit and 2 Skitarii Veteran Cohort core units from your army. Until the end of the phase, models in these 2 Skitarii units can only target that enemy unit. Each time a model in one of those 2 units makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So you know how your radium carbines are only like strength 3, I think they are?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're hitting them on 2s, wounding Marines on 3s.
Yeah,
because of the
assault 3 as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a lot of dice, isn't it? Yeah.
When you run a squad of 20, that is a lot of dice.
Yeah.
Like, enriched rounds is only 1 CP. Making Binaric Offensive offense 2 CP for your Warlord to get +1. I mean, don't get me wrong, 2 CP for +1 to wound is expensive, but you're giving it to 2 units, Mitch.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's quite rare that a stratagem will affect more than 1 unit as well.
Now, they have to target the same enemy unit, but the fact that you're giving 2 units +1 to wound against 1 target unit is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. If the Conqueror Imperative is active, which I think is the +1 weapon skill, then you can use the Aggression Override Stratagem. This is 1 CP, so it would drop to 0. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Skitarii Vanguard Veteran Cohort unit from your army that made a charge move during this turn. Until the end of the phase, add 1 attacks characteristics of models in that unit. Do you know who I would do that on? Infiltrators.
Yeah, I've got it. Actually.
Because if you pay the upgrade points, right, to give the Alpha, the Omniscient Mask, you're getting 4 hits per 6 on them taser gourds. You're given +1 attack with this. And there's a stratagem to give them +1 attack as well. And another stratagem that gives them +1 strength. Basically, if you've got the right combination of things, you can if you run Mars, you can actually have the infiltrators swing at strength 8. Because you can use I think it's Chant of the Remorseless Fist. Because that no, you can't. You're not allowed any Mechanicus units in this army. Although, actually, you can, because you can take a Tech Priest. You can take a... Wow. And then I think the Skitarii infiltrators only get two attacks anyway. You're giving them 3 swinging at strength 8 and 4 hits on a 6.
Nice.
And you're hitting on 2s because you'll have the hopefully have the +1 weapon skill. Like, that's savage. That's really nasty, that. The next one is Bulwark Imperative. I think that is the +1 save. And you can use the Bionic Endurance stratagem. So it's 2 or 3 CP.
+1 save, -3 movement, I think.
It is. So this stratagem costs 2 or 3 CP. If the power rating of the unit using it is 10 or more, then it's 3 CP. So you could drop it back to 2 or drop it to 1 for a smaller unit. Use this stratagem in any phase. When a model in a Skitarii veteran cohort unit from your army would lose a wound, until the end of that phase, each time a model in that unit would lose a wound, roll 1d6, and on a 5+, that wound is not lost.
5+ is good for a shrug as well.
Yes. So not only are you going to have your +1 save, you're also then going to have a 5+ shrug. Now, key things to use this on, I think, are if your infiltrators or rust stalkers are in the next round of combat, giving them +1 to save. You don't need the extra movement, and then suddenly they've got a 5+ shrug. Like, they're not going to move. Yeah, they're only toughness 3 with a 4+ save, but like suddenly they've got a 3+ save, 2 wounds each with a 5+ shrug. Like, it just helps keep them around that little bit longer. Same with Cerberus Hounds. So if you're looking for the Sulphur Hounds or the... what's the other one? Raiders. Helps keep them alive. And then you've got the Taraxi, both versions. Again, +1 save and that 5+ shrug. All on 2 wound models. It's like that's going to keep them around and swinging.
Well, yeah, even if you just get them to survive an extra round of combat, isn't it?
It says use this stratagem in any phase when a model in your unit from your army would lose a wound. It doesn't say infantry. It doesn't say corps. You could use that on an onager. That's interesting.
Does it say Skitarii Veteran Combat Cohort Core there, doesn't it?
Oh, sorry, it does say core, yeah. But so you can't use it on you can't use it on an onager, but still, like all them other units.
Pretty much every infantry model, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean the hounds are core, the infiltrators and rust stalkers are, the Taraxi are.
It's basically everything but the onagers, the tanks, and the
flyer.
The dragoon things and the flyer.
Dragoons are core.
Are they?
Yes. I know. Yeah. They're basically Skitarii dreadnoughts, nearly.
I suppose they're like a Skitarii Sentinel, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we've got the Aggressor Imperative is active, which is the +3 movement, -1 to your save. That CP is 1 or 2, depending upon what you use it on. So use this stratagem in your movement phase when a Skitarii veteran cohort unit, excluding vehicle units, from your army advances. That unit is eligible to declare a charge with that turn, even if it advance. Holy shit! Like, that is what you want on your infiltrators. Well, you don't, but if your infiltrators and rust stalkers have deep struck the turn before, or if indeed you have got the terrain to be able to hide them, I don't see a situation when you would take the -1 save on turn 1.
Unless you're trying to guarantee a charge.
Yeah, I mean, you could, and then obviously, if you run a Mars, you could technically Shroud Psalm to counteract that. which, you know what I mean. It would leave you on your same amount of save as what you would normally have. But if you've got a big squad of infiltrators, and you kind of want to get that first turn, that could be nasty. That could be really nasty. I like these. None of them feel too powerful. They're all very situational, but very cool.
Like I say, that one helps you. Like say, if you're trying to get like a first, either whether they come via deep strike or whether it's just simply the first turn, it's a good way of guaranteeing the first turn charge.
Yeah.
And then stop them getting shot to bits. Then you've just got to guarantee rely on them having a good round of combat still. So it's not that broken, is it? Because if they make the charge but then have a bad round of combat, then they're going to feel it when the opponent retaliates.
You've got to.
You've been done in.
You've got to remember though, this army has no cult mechanicus in it other than a dominus or manipulus.
No, so you've got no electro priests or anything like that. Or
no, it is cool because obviously if you want Daka, you're obviously going to have to go with your Onagers or your Scorpius. If you want combat, then you're going to have to rely on your infiltrators and your Rustalkers.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of almost favouring back into the way it was before, isn't it? Where you had the two separate books.
Yeah. And correct us if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Warzone Charadron Book 1 have a Cult Mechanicus Army of Renown in it?
Yeah, it does. It's Charadron Metallica.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've got different... they have like a Relentless March dogma.
Mm-hmm.
Which means anything that moves and advances with an assault weapon doesn't suffer the penalty, and anything that moves doesn't suffer the penalty to fire a heavy weapon either. Just a normal move.
Cool.
So they don't get any -1s for heavy weapons if they just move, and they don't get a -1 for advancing firing assault weapons. Then you get like a split one, which you can pick one or the other. And it's usually the one I would choose is when an enemy unit is within engagement range of a unit with your army with this dogma. That enemy unit is treated as being below half strength.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, nice little touch there. Again, you're not really trying to be getting into combat, but if someone combats you, at least it's a bit of a little bit of a buff for you.
Yeah. And technically, you could run one detachment of the Cult Mechanicus Army of Renown and one detachment of a Skitarii Veteran cohort to get all of these extra buffs.
Yeah. Yes, you could. Yeah. Maybe detachment specific. Yeah.
Go on.
The only thing is, am I right in saying that if you were to play match play, you couldn't do that?
Why do you think you can't do that?
Because in the book it says they have to share 2 faction keywords.
Yeah, they would still be the same. They would share Adeptus Mechanicus, and they'd both be the same Forge World, or you would assume the same Forge World.
I guess they would. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Imperium that you can't use to
you
link
can't have
them.
you can't have 2 separate Space Marine chapters in a game.
I actually think you can.
Because they're now Imperium, and then they're Adeptus starts bracket their chapter,
right?
They?
So you can have 2 separate chapters as long as they are in different detachments, but you can't have an Ultramarines tactical squad and a Blue Angels assault squad in the same detachment, because then they're then having to use a keyword that is not their chapter.
The rulebook it said the army, not detachments.
I don't think so. I think you can because you can still take a knight or assassins and stuff alongside other stuff. You can still mix your army as long as they're in separate detachments.
The assassins have the agents of the Imperium thing, don't they? So you can slot them into any Imperial detachment without.
All right then. The knights, you can still take. You could take a detachment of knights and a detachment of guard.
I've probably read it wrong, but
it's you can't everything
Yeah,
in
you
the
can't
same
have.
detachment has to have a keyword in common that is not Imperium. Space Marine chapters have to be the same across the same detachment, but if you take two detachments, each one has to use, for example, Blood Angels and Salamanders as their two keywords to link them.
Yeah.
So, the relic in here, the Cantic Thrall Net. In your command phase, you can select one friendly Skitarii veteran cohort core unit within 9 of this model, or you can select one friendly Skitarii veteran cohort data tether unit anywhere on the battlefield. Then select one Doctrina Imperative. Until the start of your next command phase, that Doctrina Imperative is active for that unit, even if it has been active for your army already during this battle. Selecting a Doctrine Imperative with this rule does not prevent from selecting it to be active for your army in subsequent battle rounds. If a unit has a rule that allows it to ignore the depreciation, the rule only applies to one of the Doctrine Imperatives that are active. So you can give it a second one from what I understand there. But being able to use one again, it has to be a core unit, so you could technically give another Vanguard unit a +1 to hit again. If you want all them radiums to be landing on 2s.
Yeah, it's not bad though. If you're hitting on 2s with all those dice, that's gonna.
Yeah.
The law of averages is going to give you some good results there.
It basically allows you to pull that off 2 turns in a row with a big squad.
Oof.
Yeah, exactly. Enriched rounds both times.
Yeah, I'm quite glad that I've not built. I've still got about 20 that are unbuilt.
I'm so annoyed with mine because I've got like 100, right, and I built them 2 special weapons per 5, so that and I've got like 16 transonic arquebus, and like now I can only have a maximum of 10 across me 100, and half of them probably need to go into vanguards now. I need to pull heads off and yeah.
Yes, yeah. See, luckily I've got 20 left over, so I can add a few in here and there, just with rifles, just to sort of pad them out a bit.
Yeah.
And make a few more Skitarii alphas, just sort of split them up a little bit if I need to.
So next up we've got the Codex supplement for our Martyred Lady Sisters of Battle. I have no idea what the Sisters of Battle do.
No.
I'm going to skip them. And the thing that... I am. Because the thing that I'm most interested in, Mitch, is Bellicor.
Yeah, see, this is what I would do on all the previews, is I skip through to what I'm interested in.
So, Bellicor. 16 wounds. Toughness 7, Strength 8, Movement 12, Weapon and Ballistic Skill 2, 6 attacks. The Blade of Shadows. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, select one of the profiles below. Sweeping Strike. Make 2 hit rolls instead of 1 for each attack. So that's 12 sweeping attacks, right? Strength User. Oh no, I'm only swinging at Strength 8. -3, 1 damage.
Yeah.
It's... Here's my problem that I've got now, right? It's only 1 damage, it's -3. What are you going to kill at -3, 1 damage other than Sisters?
Not much.
You're going to smash all... You're going to slice through Orcs anyway. You're going to slice through Guardsmen because they're on a 5-up. Do you know what I mean? The -3, whilst good, like, what... I suppose aspect warriors, but like the toughness 3.
It's kind of to pigeonhole them into using that attack on purely things like grots, not grot, but orcs, termagants.
Yeah.
1 wound infantry. I mean, you get like the triple. It triples his attacks characteristic, doesn't it?
Doubles. He gets 2 hits.
I guess 2. Yeah, I can quite see. Yeah, it's a weird one because I find those sorts of hits are strange because that, while it's meant to be like a sweeping attack, I find if you're hitting something like a tank or an Imperial Knight, that's actually usually better than hitting with his strength attack.
Usually.
Because usually it is, because even though the damage is only 1, you're rolling like a lot more dice.
But when you consider the next attack, Mitch, I think
Is
Be'lakor breaks that mold that you've just mentioned. So the piercing strike is +4 strength. That's strength 12, right? -4 D3 +3 damage.
Yeah, so you're doing flat 4 damage there.
And you can't take invulnerable saves.
That's different. When you get, like you say, your Mortarians and that, his strong attack worse than his sweeping attack.
With this, I feel like
that's different. Yeah,
you would literally. I don't know whether this is good or bad, right? Because technically now the sweeping strike, charge into orcs, charge into guardsmen, go for it. Possibly even marines, possibly, right? But that piercing strike is just so good. It's like they've worsened the sweeping strike, but then made the piercing strike better, so there is a much bigger contrast between the two attacks. And I think that's the way it should be, especially with Mortarion.
Yeah, because that piercing attack is meant to be used on singular.
Yeah, Lucy's exactly the same with her Morkanaut. It's like, I've got 4 attacks with a claw, which is like devastating, but I've got a hit. You know what? I'm just going to go with the 3 attacks from my sweeping blows, because it's like -2 or 3 anyway, and D3 damage on every one.
And you're rolling more dice.
So it's nice that they've actually went, this is very, very clearly a sweeping attack. This is very, very clearly a piercing strike. But you know what that is? That is a Custodius killer. Because it's 4 damage, right? It's strength 12. The bikes are toughness 6, I think.
Yeah, I think that's basically, like you say, it's a hero killer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's your warlord killer.
So it's -4. So if they've got a 2-up and a storm shield, they're still going to have a 5-up save, right? But a 2-up with a storm shield isn't that common. I don't even think it is possible. It might be. I know. In fact, it is possible, because the normal guards have a 2-up armor and then they've got a storm shield, so they're on a 1-up. So I mean, this is a -4, so they're still going to have a 5-up save, but they're not going to get the 4-up invulnerable save. And it's 4 damage, so even if you do it on a captain on bike, like a 6-up save, like, this is going to maul through Custodius.
Anything like a Primaris captain, things like that. Yeah,
he's dead. He's dead.
He's pretty much done. No Iron Halo. No.
Well, they are dead because they've only got a 3-up save.
They got no save.
As long as you get 2 through, 1 could kill him because minimum 4 damage, maximum of 6. So you could kill him with 1. 2 through and he's gone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the rest of the rules, he's got a 4-up invulnerable save. And each time a ranged attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Bearing in mind he's toughness 7 anyway, right? Anything that is strength 6 or less is wounding him on 6s. Strength 7's wounding him on 5s. And then anything that's strength 8 or above is wounding him on 4s instead of 3s.
Yeah. Now, see, I think that rule is actually almost better than your I can only take 4 wounds off of a character.
Yeah.
Because it makes it possible to kill him, but you have to invest
absolutely.
a lot of firepower into doing so. Whereas with things like the Gas Skull rule, you do your 4 wounds and then you just move on, don't you? Because you're not physically not allowed to hurt him anymore. So you just move on.
But in addition to that, Mitch, in addition to his -1 to wound, he's also got
-1 to hit as well.
-1 to hit as well.
Yeah.
And you can't re-roll the hit rolls either.
Oh, that's cheeky.
So yeah. he must, if he's your warlord, he must hit the Shadow Lord warlord trait. Let's have a look at what that is.
Nice, I can see that he's also got all of the faction keywords.
Yeah, 2 seconds. In your command phase, select one friendly Disciples of Be'lakor unit within 9. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit. Basically, he's a chat master. If he's your warlord. Yes, so the fact he actually has... This is great, right? Because before, and the way the demon book works currently, you can't mix demons within a detachment. Each one is essentially a separate Space Marine chapter. You have to build different detachments of them. Be'lakor had none of those words, so he literally had to go in another detachment by himself. And got no benefits. Now, even as...
get anything.
Exactly.
Well, demon-wise anyway.
Even as the demon book currently stands, and I believe... if we follow the rule that happened with the Drukhari Codex, Mitch, because they were essentially 3 factions within one book. Now, as long as you go, take a hero from each one, take the battle line from each one, you've got a real space raid, you don't lose your abilities. I think demons are going to go that way.
That would make sense, because having a multi-face demon army was always really cool.
Exactly, and we haven't had that for a long, long time. And that's why you just don't see demons anymore. Because, yeah, Khorne are great at combat, but they've got no shooting and they've got no psychic. Do you know what I mean? And, like, Slaanesh is really fast, and they always fight first and stuff. They've got decent magic, but, like, they haven't really got any shooting. And, like, I don't know about other people who are watching, but I'm quite excited about what they're going to do with the Demon Book. Now, the reason I'm kind of excited, right, is because obviously I've got a decent Khorne Demon army, we've got a decent Slaanesh Demon army, we now have a Tzeentch Demon army, as they were very kindly left to us by Stu, who sadly passed away just before Christmas. But I want to give a shout out to Soren, who actually sent me some Death Guard all the way from Texas, Mitch.
Wow.
And in that box was I can't remember the name of the hero, but it was one of the Nurgle Plague Bearer heroes. 10 Plague Bearers, 3 drones, and 3 Nurglings.
Oh, nice.
Which I'll need, because when we get to the next page, you'll see why. Yeah. But, on the subject of Be'lakor still, Lord of Torment, while an enemy unit is within 6 of this model, subtract 1 from the leadership, and each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, subtract 1 from the roll. That is pretty good, right? Because, for example, say you use that sweeping blow attack against orcs, right? Or a big unit of guardsmen or whatever. Suddenly, if that unit is below half strength, they fail because of, obviously, your -1 leadership plus however many models you lost. They're suddenly running away on 1, 2s, and 3s.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah. And then losing those to attrition as well.
Exactly. The Dark Master Aura, while a friendly demon or disciple of Be'lakor unit is within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack reroll hit roll of 1. Basically, Demon Prince, but for all demons. And Spiteful Jealousy. If your army is Battleforged, you cannot include this model in a detachment that includes any other Demon Prince models. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a Demon Prince model, you can reroll the hit and the wound roll. So basically, he is the original Demon Prince. That's very cool and thematic, that if you are battling another army with a Demon Prince, obviously Be'lakor's going to be kind of pissed that they're there. So that's pretty nice. This unit can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase. And it knows Smite and 2 powers from the Noctic discipline, which is Overleaf. So let's have a look at the Noctic discipline before we look at the rest of the army rules. So The first one is Shrouded Step, which is a blessing. It has a casting value of 6, and if manifested, select one friendly Disciple of Bellicor infantry unit within 18, remove it from the battlefield, and set it up anywhere that is 9 inches away from enemy units. If that unit remains stationary this turn, it is instead treated as having made a normal move. So basically, you've moved. Hey Borak, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. So, having that teleport is pretty cool, but if you can mix demon armies up, or mix demon units in this army, you may have some fast-moving units anyway. But imagine just dropping your 30 Bloodletters or 30 Plague Bearers 9 inches away in your opponent's deployment zone.
Yeah, that's pretty... it's a must get rid of target, at least, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially if it's a Plague Bearers, because, like, I'll need to read to see whether or not you can still take Nurgle spells and stuff with other heroes in the army, but if they are at -1 to hit, like, that's an annoyance right in your opponent's deployment zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Wreathed in Shades is a blessing and has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one friendly Disciples of Bellicor unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, within 12. At the start of your next psychic phase, enemy models cannot... until the start of your next psychic phase, enemy models cannot target that unit with ranged weapons unless it is the closest visible or the firing unit is within 12.
Almost counts that target as a character then, almost, doesn't it?
But that's really useful in conjunction with Shrouded Step, right? You put that unit of Plague Bearers right in front of your opponent with -1 to hit, right? You've got a unit of big Bloodletters behind them, waiting to charge the following turn. You cast Wreathed in Shadows on them. It's like, oh, I can't target them now, so now I'm going to have to fire into the Plague Bearers.
Yeah, with the -to hit.
That's pretty useful. The next one is Paul of Despair. Has a casting value of 7. Select an enemy unit within 18 and roll 3d6. If the result is greater than the enemy unit's leadership, select one of the following to apply to that unit until the start of your next command phase. Oh, if that unit has any aura abilities, select one of those abilities until the start of your next psychic step. That unit loses that ability.
Yeah, that's quite good.
So you know how Death Guard have that -1 toughness aura? Nah, bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how Gilliman or Chapter Master has that reroll 1s, and then yeah, that's not happening anymore.
I like that one.
The other options for that spell, until the start of your next psychic phase, that unit cannot perform actions, depending on what secondaries they've took, maybe. Until the start of your next psychic phase, in the fight phase, that unit is not eligible to fight until all eligible units from your army have done so.
Can that be used on someone who charged? No, it can't, can it? Because it's a different turn.
Well, it's your turn, but you cast it on them, right? And it's until the start of your next psychic phase, so even if they charge, they can't fight.
If they charge you in their turn, then yeah. That would make them think twice about charging, at least.
Exactly.
You didn't want them to.
Exactly. Void Slivers has a casting value of 5. Select an enemy model within 12. Draw a line between any part of this Psyker's base and part of the selected model's base or hull. The selected model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If that unit contains 11 or more models, it suffers D3. Every other enemy unit that this line passes over or through would suffer 1 mortal wound or D3 if it's 11 or more models. It's okay. Penumbral Curse is the next one. It has a casting value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 of the Psyker, and until the start of your next Psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from that attack's wound roll and reduce the AP by 1. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's that's not nice. That is not a nice spell, Mitch.
No. No, that's
So suddenly now, so I'm thinking Blood Angels here, right? So Sanguinary Guard, right? Subtract 1 from the wound roll. So your swords are strength 5, I think now, which means if you charge your wound and toughness 4 stuff on 3s, okay. Suddenly you're only back to 4s, and that -3 AP sword is now only -2. Now that, don't get me wrong, that still hurts to get hit by that, but that softens the blow a lot. Something else I'm going to point out with this as well. Can you remember that they leaked the new chopper for the Orc Boys a while ago? How the choppers are now -1.
yeah. So that
Like
makes them
that
again.
-1 chopper is going to be savage, right? That gets rid of it.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yes, that's Could you also imagine if they cast that on an enemy that was trying to charge Bellicor?
It wouldn't. The -1 to wound wouldn't stack.
It would stack, but then again, you'd still be trying to
But
wound him on same sort of thing as the shooting. It'd be the same effect, wouldn't it?
it might. Do you know when it would become useful? For example, how many strats out there are +1 to wound? A
Yeah,
lot.
there's loads.
A
Yeah,
lot.
they
You can negate the +1 and then still have your -1.
or you're forcing them to spend CP just to be where
Just
they
to,
should be.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, it's a right old mind game, isn't it?
And then we've got Betraying Shadows has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 of and visible to the Psyker. Select up to 6 models in that unit and add together the unmodified attack characteristic of those models. Roll a number of d6 equal to the total. If the result of the psychic test... Hang on. Add together the unmodified attacks characteristic of those models. Roll a number of d6 equal to the total. For example, if 5 of the selected models have an attacks characteristic of 2 and 1 had an attacks characteristic of 3, you would roll 13 d6. Okay. So roll a number of d6 equal to the attacks. If the result of the psychic test was 11 or more, add 1 to each dice result. Right, okay. That's really long-winded. So, you roll a number of dice equal to the attacks characteristic of up to 6 models in the unit, and for each 6 you do a mortal wound. If you rolled an 11 for your psychic test, then it's on a 5.
Not bad.
It's not bad, but it's incredibly complicated.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hitting something like Gene Stealers with that, that'd be quite.
How many attacks do they have base?
They have 3 or 4, isn't it?
4 each base. No, is it not 3 and they get an extra attack if there's more than 10? Even then, 3 attacks is still decent.
It's worth six of them times 3. It's 18 dice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then for every 6.
Ones where this isn't going to be useful, or as useful, Primaris Outriders get an extra 2 attacks on the charge, an extra attack for a chainsword, an extra attack for shock assault. So you wouldn't get those bonus 4 attacks on the Outriders.
No, it'd be good against things like Custodies again, who have got a high
attack base. Flat. Yeah, exactly. So against a squad of 6, well, does anybody run 6 bikes anymore? And how many attacks do they get each? 4, 3?
Something like that. Must be 3 or 4. I think they have 3 or 4 as just normal Custodian Guard.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it just depends.
They do get the shrug against mortal wounds, don't they? But
yeah, it's not.
Things like Jinx Stealers would be probably quite good because they're high attacks and they've got no real way of shrugging it without a stratagem or a psychic power.
It's not bad, but I think you would see Shrouded Step, Wreathed in Shadows, and Penumbral Curse the most, with Pall of Despair to make that unit's aura abilities turn off. I think they're the 4 that you'd probably see. But, going back to the Disciples of Bellicor rules in general, So it's an army of renown. Your warlord must be Be'lakor. With the exception of Be'lakor, your army cannot include any named characters or demon prince models. So no greater demons, named ones. Oh. Your army cannot include any Bloodthirster, Lord of Change, Great Unclaimed, Keeper of Secrets, Demon Engine, World Eaters, Thousand Suns, Death Guard, Emperor's Children, Chaos Knights, Titanicus Traitors, Khorne Berserkers, Rubric Marines, Plague Marines, or Noise Marines.
Yeah, see there it says army as opposed to detachment as well.
Because it's an army of renown, so maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's specifically an army of renown, and I read the rules for it at the beginning. I'll maybe go back and reread that shortly, just to see if it covers it. But still, like that.
That reads as if you were to take a normal demon army's detachment, he could be part of it still because he has the right keywords. But like say, if you were to use the Disciples of Be'lakor rule, then like you're saying, he is the only one, isn't he?
So you could fit him into a Khorne detachment and then take a Slaanesh detachment. That would be fine. But if you specifically run this, then you can't take any of the greater demons. You can't take any of the 4 associated Space Marine legions that are associated with those 4 gods, and you can't take knights. And you can't so you can't take any of the 4 legions that are associated with the 4 gods. You can't take any of the marines that are associated with those 4 gods, and you can't take any of the greater demons that are associated with the 4 gods.
Can't take Chaos Knights or Titans either.
Yes, that's the easiest way to see it. Is if it's a big character or marines associated with those gods, no.
Yeah.
You cannot include more Chaos Cultists than Heretic Astartes units in your army. Fine. You cannot include a second demon unit in your army that owes its allegiance to the same Chaos God unless your army also includes at least one demon unit that owes its allegiance to each of the other 3 Chaos Gods. You cannot include a third demon unit in your army that owes its allegiance to the same Chaos Gods until you've selected at least 2 units in the same manner. Be'lakor and Heretic Astartes units are excluded when considering this restriction. So basically, if you want a second Khorne unit in your army, you've got to have a Khorne unit, a Slaanesh unit, a Tzeentch unit, a Nurgle unit. Then you can take a second Khorne unit.
Yeah, and if you want to take 3, you've got to have 2 of the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would have been far more simpler, actually.
These restrictions also apply to any units that can be added to your army using a demonic ritual ability. So, it is what it is. So, the benefits of running this very restrictive list, right? All units in your army gain the Disciples of Be'lakor keyword. All units in your army with the Heretic Astartes faction keyword gain the Legion Disciples keyword. All units in your army with Chaos Demon faction keywords gain Demonic Disciples keyword. All troops gain objective secured.
So you can at least run him with Space Marines as well as demons.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Chaos Space Marines.
If a detachment...
Which is why I was wondering. Sorry.
So, no, you go on.
Which is why I was wondering why all the powers were specifically mentioning no vehicles, etc. I was thinking, is there a way of shoehorning him in with Space Marines? And then, that explains it.
If a detachment contains any units with the Chaos Demon faction keyword, it can use stratagems, relics, and warlord traits as if it was a Chaos Demon detachment. Cool. If a detachment contains any units with the Heretic Astartes faction keyword, it can use stratagems, relics, and warlord traits as if it was a Chaos Space Marine detachment. Note, however, that the detachment never counts as a Legion detachment, and you cannot use any Legion-specific stratagems, relics, warlord traits, sighted powers, etc. Even if such a detachment only contained Heretic Astartes units with Black Legion keyword, It would not count as a Black Legion detachment. You cannot use Black Legion stratagems. You cannot give Black Legion character models, a Black Legion warlord trait, etc. Basically, they have to be generic Marines. You can access all of the stratagems in Chaos Space Marine book, nothing specific to any Legion.
Basically, just have to be like a Chaos Warband. That's basically
Yeah, essentially. You have access to the Disciples of Bellicor stratagems. Psychers in your army can generate their psychic powers from the Noctic discipline. Demon Disciples character units do not gain a demonic locus, but instead gain the locus of Shadow's ability described below. Oh, hang on. So all of your Psychers have to take from that discipline?
Yeah. It's a bit pigeonholing, isn't it? Restrictive as well, especially if you run a lot of sorcerers or something. It's quite restrictive.
But see, for the sorcerers, it is, because like you do want some of them chaos ones, but then the demon spells are normally pretty good as well. But it says if a detachment contains any units with chaos demon faction keyword, it can use stratagems, relics, and warlord traits as if it was the detachment, not psychic powers. That's kind of a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is.
Because you get every psyker that is restricted to those 6 powers.
Yeah. However,
it's no different than the other faction, really. But
no. However, the Locus of Shadows aura, while a friendly demonic disciples unit is within 6 of this model, each time a ranged attack is made with that unit, your opponent cannot re-roll the hit roll, and if the attacker is more than 12 inches away, subtract 1 from hit rolls. So all heroes, I think, have that aura. No. While a friendly demon is within 6 inches of this model.
Any model that's got the aura.
Oh, right. So, sorry. So the demonic disciples character. Units do not gain the demonic locus. So, for example, the corn one is reroll charge. I can't remember the other ones.
Instead.
Yeah. So basically, now they have the locus of shadow. So you've got to have units within 6 of your demon heroes to be able to do that. It's okay. But the disciples of shadows, each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit, add 1 to the combat attrition test. Oh, right, okay, so basically, if you're running on 2s, you're still on 1s. And each time a ranged attack targets this unit, if the attacker is more than 12 away, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So the Marines just get -1 to hit.
Too bad.
Which is not bad. It's a complicated army.
It's a lot there to sort of remember. You kind of have to treat it as a faction of its own, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to play that faction as your main faction, and as well as loads of others, that would be quite complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. What else have we got? Stratagems. Shadow Pact. Use this stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Mark of Chaos Legion Disciples infantry unit from your army that has not dedicated itself to a specific god, and then select one of the following pacts below. So it's an unmarked Chaos Space Marine unit. So you can give it +1 attack, you can give it a 5-up invulnerable save, add 1 to its toughness, or add 1 to its move, advance, and charge rolls. For 1 CP, that's not bad. I mean, the attacks, if you're running like Raptors, I think, or Warp Talons, that's probably alright. 5-up invulnerable save is handy. +1 toughness. Again, decent. For 1 CP, it's nice. But then the problem that you've got there, for example, if you take Havocs, Mitch, you absolutely want to give them the Mark of Slanesh to use Endless Cacophony to fire again.
Yeah.
Which means you can't use this stratagem on them. because they've got to be unmarked.
Yes. It's kind of like stinks of the Yanari a little bit.
Yeah.
So you get
This is
all
like Chaos
so
Yunari, isn't it?
so you want to take the best units of each faction to make a Yanari force, but then it hampers all the best units of every faction by taking them in that way.
Yeah.
So it kind of gains you. Yeah, it doesn't gain you anything by taking the army, which is why nobody really plays Yanari or anything like that anymore.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Demonic Boon. Use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select a Legion Disciples unit, excluding a vehicle, that is within 6 of a friendly Demonic Disciples unit. Is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the strength characteristics of the Legion Disciples unit, and each time a model in the Legion Disciples unit makes a melee attack on a modified hit roll of a 6, automatically attacks. So you've got to have a unit of demons next to a unit of marines for the unit of marines to get a buff for 1 CP. Too situational, don't like it. It's okay, but like, why can't they just do that anyway for that CP? Why do you have to have a unit of demons nearby? Like, that's annoying.
Yeah, that makes that one incredibly situational, doesn't it?
Legions of Shade. Use a stratagem at the start of your movement phase or at the start of your charge phase. Select the Disciples of Bellicor unit from your army, and until the end of that phase, models in that unit can move horizontally through enemy models. So it's like, oh look, I've just blocked you from getting to that objective. No, you haven't. That is useful and cool.
Yeah, because a lot of missions rely on objective grab anyway, don't they? So.
Absolutely. Mortal Boon. Use this stratagem at the start of your morale phase. Select 1 Demonic Disciples unit from your army that is within 6 of a friendly Legion Disciples unit. Until the end of that phase, each time the Demonic Disciples unit from your army takes a morale test, it is automatically passed, and you count as having passed that test with an unmodified wound roll of a 1. Sorry, an unmodified roll of a 1. So 2 CP to auto pass, but you get a 1. I think you get demon. It's been so long since I played demons in 40k, I can't remember if you, when you roll a 1 with the banners, you get models back. I know in Sigmar you do, but that is very specific, saying that you pass it with an unmodified roll of a 1. If you get an unmodified roll of a 1 for your Battle Shock in Sigmar, you get D6 or D3 models back depending on what unit it is. So for 2 CP to auto pass and get models back, that's pretty good.
Yeah, if you get the models back, that's pretty good. If you don't, then it's not so good.
It's not, but then you've got access to 2. Well, you can use this every turn, whereas Insane Bravery's once per game. So, Draft of Terror. Use this stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Select 1 Demonic Disciples unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, that unit gains the following ability: Draft of Terror Aura. While an enemy unit is within 6 of this unit, each time a model flees from that enemy unit, if any models in this unit have lost wounds, 1 model in this unit regains 1 lost wound. If no models in this unit have lost any wounds, but it is not at starting strength, 1 of this unit's destroyed models is added back with 1 wound remaining. Models added back to the unit in this way can be set up in engagement range. So basically you can heal wounded models by forcing opponents to run, or you can get a model back on 1 wound. So this one I feel is probably more for your I don't even know how to describe them, sort of your elite demons, so your Blood Crushers, Steeds of Slanesh, your Plague Flies, the drones even. Not so much your Plague Bearers, your Bloodletters and stuff like that, because they've only got 1 wound. Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's always better to heal a bigger model than it is to replace one single wound model.
Yeah, it says it only regains 1 wound. If any models in this unit have lost any wounds, one model in that unit regains 1 wound. Or each time a model flees. So each time, so you can actually use it on the smaller one. So each time a model flees, you choose one of these 2 options.
So you could end up replacing quite a few.
Yeah. So, if 10, 12 models run, you can get 10, 12 models back.
Whoa.
For 1 CP.
Oh yeah, now you've reread that. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. But the models that run have got to be within 6 of the unit that you're trying to heal.
So it's not really going to work if you essentially beaten them in combat, probably, more than anything.
Yeah.
Imagine if you hacked up a unit with some plague bearers or something, or bloodletters, lost half of them, but then the enemy runs, you almost get half of them back again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your rolls.
So
and 1 CP is pretty good.
Right, so humour me here, right? 30 bloodletters charge 20 orc boys. You kill 15 of them, right? Maybe it's a little bit less or whatever. Say there's 8, 9, 10 orcs left. They're still gonna put the hurt out on a squad of demons, right? Because they're swinging with 4, possibly 5 attacks each. They're still gonna chew through a hell of a lot of your demons, right? You go 2 CP mortal boon, I'm not running. Right? Oh look, I rolled a 1. But then you go draft of terror. Right, your boys are running away because I've killed 20 of them. Your bravery 10, you're losing 10 plus D6. Oh look, I've just got my 10 bloodletters left. Back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's...
As a combination one, that's quite nasty. It's cheap as well.
Yeah. It's cheaper than going insane bravery and endless green tide.
Yeah.
Because that costs Lucy 5 CP to do that.
Oh.
Yeah, because 2 for insane bravery and 3 for endless green tide. This is limited though because it doesn't just... Endless green tide is oh no, I've got 1 model left. He's 30 again. Right? Yeah. Drafted Terror is relying on them running.
Random, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's relying on them running. And
it's probably why it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's only based on the amount of models that flee. Now, I can't remember the rules exactly, but I think the amount of models that flee, is that included the attrition test? Because only one model ever flees, and I can't remember whether attrition counts as a flee or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that makes a difference. Because if it's only one model that flees, 1 CP to...
1 CP to give out 1 model.
Yeah. And then we've got Blessing...
It does say for every wound, though, doesn't it? So...
It says for each time a model flees in that unit. But it's whether or not... Oh, wait there. I've got the core rules down there. Give us a sec. So the reason I've got the core rules is because I got this book as well, which was the Crusade one. I looked at it for 30 seconds and then threw it on the floor. Because that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, Crusades.
Strategic
I don't play often enough to bother with it anyway.
Right, okay. Morale tests. If a morale test exceeds the unit's leadership, 1 model flees and other models must take a combat attrition test. Combat attrition test. If a unit fails a morale test, then after the first model has fled the unit, you must take a combat attrition test. To do so, roll 1d6 for each remaining model in that unit, subtracting 1 if you're below half strength. For each result of a 1, 1 additional model flees.
Okay, so yeah, so that counts as a flee if they...
It counts as a flee, yes. So that's good.
Okay, yeah. That we understand that makes the wording make sense. Because
yeah.
It says 1 wound for each, otherwise it would just say you get 1 back or whatever.
But... He's a combo. There was something that gave us an extra -1 to the combat attrition test, and I can't remember where it was, but there's
One of their auras, or
I don't know. But there was something. If you guys are watching along and can remember what I said was, because didn't I say, Mitch, that you could have units running on 3s? Something causes.
So was it one of the psychic powers?
I don't know. I don't know what it was. No. They're Disciples of Shadows. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for this unit, add 1 to the combat attrition test.
Yes, yeah, so it is.
Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. I don't know where I've read it, but I've definitely seen it. No, that basically gives them the Space Marine thing where they don't suffer combat attrition. I have definitely read it. I can't think where I've read it now, but yeah, it's there somewhere. So if you can force them to run on 3s and use Draft of Terror, they're at -1 leadership anyway, and then Draft of Terror, like that's going to be pretty decent. I'll find that combat attrition test in a bit. And then the last one, Blessing of Be'lakor. Use this stratagem in any phase when a saving throw made for a Disciples of Be'lakor model from your army against an attack is failed. The damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 0. You cannot use this stratagem if Be'lakor is not on the battlefield.
That was in the Warhammer community page.
All I'm going to say, right, is multi-melters at half range.
Yeah, that's going to upset some radicals, isn't it?
Or things like neutron lasers, which are 3 + D3.
Yeah.
Dark Lancers, 3 + D3. Like, yeah.
But 6 damage. Hey,
yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible.
so you keep using that, that's going to get expensive. I know you can use it once a turn anyway, but...
No, you can actually use it twice a turn because you use it in the shooting phase when you target and then use it in the combat phase when you hit. Wow.
Yeah. But then that's, like I said, that's going to get expensive if you keep having to rely on that.
But yeah.
It's a good way of keeping like your keeping Be'lakor alive, or anyone, any big unit really.
Wow, that's brutal. That's really brutal. Oh, Chaos Space Marine Appendix. What?
We got here. This is like maybe a little FAQ, perhaps.
Chaos Space Marine Heretic Astartes units and Fallen units gain the following abilities: Malicious Volleys.
That's rapid fire, isn't it? Essentially.
Supplement those found in Codex Chaos Space Marines and can be used in open narrative and match play games. They include new abilities for Chaos Space Marines, new artifacts of demon weapons. Blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. Wait there. What's this? Oh, it's just saying when and where and stuff. So Malicious Volleys. Because I don't think this is actually published in the Chaos Space Marine Codex, it's still FAQ'd.
Yeah, this came out after their book, didn't it?
The firing model is within... For the purposes of... Yeah, so Malicious Volleys hasn't changed. Hateful Assault is still the same. And Demonic Weapon.
Yeah, I think it's just putting that...
Why have they not given 2 wounds yet?
Ah, it's moronic, isn't it?
So there's some demon weapons. There's... Oh. So basically everything that was in Psychic Awakening, Mitch, the one with all of the Chaos Space Marine Legions in, has basically now been...
Oh, yeah.
put in here.
Shoehorned into there.
I am not going through all of this, guys. I will look at the World Eaters, because I have World Eaters, and we'll briefly look at the Black Legion ones. But I'm not going through all of this. There is way too much here. Where are we at? World Eaters. Slaughterborn, when an enemy, character, monster, or Titanic model is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a warlord, add 1 to the attack and strength characteristic. Cool. These might actually be the same, you know, Mitch.
I think they are.
At the start of the fight phase, add D3 to the warlord's attacks if there are more enemy models within 3. Those extra attacks last until the end of that fight phase. Okay. Disciple of Khorne, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by this warlord against a character, with a wounds characteristic of 5 or more, you can reroll hit and wound rolls. That's good, because Psychic Awakening wasn't wrought with 9th in mind. Well, with 9th in mind, but not in principle, because technically Khan, for example, could reroll his... No, Khan can't reroll his hits. But if you built a Lord, for example, now based on the new core rules, the Lord wouldn't give himself reroll 1s to hit. That would now help the Lord, because it's that character that's getting his rerolls. So it seems like they've changed them to work in 9th edition.
Yeah, it seems that way, because again, if you look at the stratagems, they've now added strategic play stratagem.
Yeah.
They've added like the wording,
yeah.
Stratagem now as well.
Epic Deed stratagem and stuff, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Violent Urgency, +1 to advancing charge rolls within 6. True Berserker, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon against the warlord, half any damage inflicted rounding up. That's pretty alright. And then Battle Lust, this warlord can perform heroic intervention within 6 instead of 3, and he always fights first. Cool. Stratagem. Scorn of Sorcery is a 4+ to stop ascitic power. That's the same. Apoplectic Frenzy. Use this stratagem during deployment when you set up a World Eater's infantry unit from your army. At the start of the first battle round, but before the turn begins, you can move that unit up to 9. So that was still a thing. Skulls for the Skull Throne. When an enemy character model is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a melee weapon, by a World Eater's character model from your army, gain D3 command points. Okay. So when a character from your army, when an enemy character is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a melee weapon by a World Eater's character, gain D3 command points. The limit of gaining or refunding 1 CP per battle round does not apply to command points gained via this stratagem. It costs 1 CP to use, so if you roll a 5 or a 6, you gain 2. Because obviously it costs 1, you're getting the minimum of 1 back, so you could roll it and be net even.
You get 1 back every turn as well.
Yeah, but if you roll well for that, then you're getting an extra 2. So that's okay. Red Butchers, add 1 to the strength characteristic for models in the unit for the Terminators. And basically they get to fight twice as if they were Berserkers. I've wanted to build some Khorne Berserker Terminators for so long. And I've got like 15 metal models and 5 of the new plastic. I refuse to build them until the Chaos Space Marine book is released.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been saying, because they've added all these things in now, all these little FAQ bits, all these rewording of these warlock traits. I think the pessimists out there are saying, "Oh, that means we're not getting a book forever and a day." I don't know. Seems a bit...
Yeah, but all of these books should have been out months ago now. I mean, we know Orcs and X, Grey Knights and Thousand Suns are very, very soon. But realistically, if you follow the schedule, Grey Knights and Thousand Suns should have been out in like February or March.
Yeah.
Daniel's just joined us on YouTube. I see you're checking the reprint of the Psychic Awakening rules with the FAQs. Right, okay, I didn't realise that's what it was, Daniel. We're actually going through Warzone Charadron Book 2. But if this is essentially a printed copy of the FAQ, then fantastic. We're just looking at the World Eater stuff, though, because that's what I've got. We've got Kill, Maim, Burn. So you can consolidate 6 inches with your World Eaters unit. Very cool. Wild Fury. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when you select a World Eater unit from your army to fight. Until the end of the phase, improve the AP of all weapons by 1. Very good. Stalk the Nails. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a World Eater's infantry or biker unit from your army is chosen to fight with. Until the end of the phase, that unit's Death to the False Emperor ability takes effect when targeting any unit, not just Imperium units. And if you target an Imperium unit, it triggers on a 5.
That's what I'm reading now, Jay.
See, Red Butchers on the Terminators, Mitch, right? So that the Corn Berserkers and they get to fight twice. Okay. Wild Fury to improve those lovely lightning claws by 1 rend. Okay. And then, Stalk the Nails, so I get all of the extra attacks. All the time. Yeah. The problem is getting the Terminators there.
Yeah.
Jay's just joined us on Twitch. Hey Jay, hope you're well. Anything good for Corn? No, this is just the World Eaters update that is included in the Warzone Charadron book. My understanding is this is just the FAQ of Psychic Awakening, but printed. So yeah, at least they're both there. We've got Black Legion printed in here because I think that was in a different book. We've got Renegade stuff as well, because I think these were split over about 3 different Psychic Awakening books. So you've got your
I'm sure like the Thousand Suns were in with the Dark Angels and Grey Knights, weren't they? I think
the Thousand Suns ones were a little bit different. I think the Black Legion was in a different one to the other Marines. But then you've also got here, Mitch, the Creations of Bile, which were in another Psychic Awakening book.
Yeah, they were in with the Death Guard, weren't they?
Do you know what, right? I wasn't overly fussed about the first Charadron book, right? I disagree with them reprinting all of this and putting it in here, but at the same time, at least you don't need 3 or 4 Psychic Awakening books, plus your codexes, plus all the print FAQs. You've literally just got these. Everything's in this one book now. But you shouldn't have to pay for it. I disagree with that.
Yeah, this sort of stuff should just be in the codex. Just give people the codex with everything they need to play.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make as much money, so that's, I won't go there.
And I'm sure this was 35 quid, you know. I'm sure I seen Justin put it up on Battle Bunker and he was charging like 31.50, which is 10% off.
Yeah, won't be buying that.
Where's pre-orders? Where's pre-orders? I'm just on the GW website now. Pre-orders. It's 35 quid.
Yeah, won't be buying that.
Have they made Skitarii even more broken? Meh, not really.
They've made Skitarii better if you focus on Skitarii, or made Admech better in the previous book, focus on Admech.
Yeah.
Isn't it? That's what they've done. They're giving you benefits for picking one sub-faction over another.
Absolutely. So, that's Warzone Charadron Book 2. That is our review for it. Now, I'm going to continue streaming, but I'm going to restart the stream because I want to leave the Warzone Charadron book as a review video by itself. So, if you want to keep hanging out with us, guys, make sure you refresh the stream. If you are watching this in retrospective, please go and follow us over on Twitch. We live stream in there, doing hobby stuff. And I've been playing a lot of video games recently as well, as I'm on a bit of a burnout with hobby stuff at the minute. But we're going to jump straight over there now and continue some hobby. So, thank you very much for watching, folks. and we'll see you in a few seconds.